Hey everybody, it's Mark Pereira here. Sorry, I did a live thing here a minute ago and my internet was acting weird, so I decided to do it again, this time closer to my internet. Hopefully it doesn't go out on us, hopefully it doesn't buffer. It did pretty good for a while, but anyway, whatever. The thing we want to talk about, first thing I want to make an announcement that we're going to be doing, the Avian Runer Book 2 is going to be coming out soon, where I'm actually already finished writing it. All the stuff is put together. We put all the sources together. All the information is there. We have people editing it right now, going over all the Old Norse language and looking at everything and just trying to get everything perfect, you know. One of the things that we did, because we were looking at, we're basically piecing together sources like poetry and skaldic stuff and things like that. And one of the things that we wanted to do is basically standardize the language, because Old Norse is kind of all over the place throughout the centuries. And, these different texts have different methods and different ways of writing down. So we're going to standardize it so people can read it and understand it. And we think that's just the best way to go. But yeah, that's what we're working on right now, and it's coming along. It's going to be really, really great. This is going to be probably the closest thing that you can get to having an authentic ritual tradition for our faith. I've done so much research into this book. I think any of you who've seen the Ivan Runer Book 1 know that, all the extensive research we did into that, and it was a really huge book, and it was a lot of work putting together every single detail, looking over every source, every concept, every idea, and putting it all together, right, so that you could see it yourself, right? And the thing is that, when we're doing what we're doing, and speaking of all this, one of the things that we get accused of by people is trying to sort of hoist our interpretation onto people and try to tell people, our opinions of things, and you should listen to us, and this is what you should do because this is our interpretation, and we're just super awesome people. And that is not what we're doing at all, and not what we've ever sought to do. It's not something that we really have desired to do. We try to strip interpretation from what we're doing as much as possible. Now, it's not like we can't do it 100%. There's a lot of times there's just nothing there, and you kind of have to figure it out or fill in the blanks or whatever. But we're pretty close to it, and we've shown people that a lot of the things that have been done in the past, and a lot of groups out there and organizations that put stuff together, their main thing is to try to create excuses, to try to show you not to look at this or not look at that, or ignore this, ignore that, so that they can just make their interpretations valid, and they can build their cults of personality around certain individuals or certain things that they did, rather than what is the religion, And then you talk about religion of the ancestors, and like that's what we're trying to build here. When I got a part of this faith, I joined this religion and became heathen so that I could celebrate the religion of my ancestors, not the religion of, some dude who wrote a book in the 1970s. Like that's not what I joined. That's not what I want to be a part of. That's never been anything I want to do at all. And so the idea for us is, once we started to examine the source material and really look at it closely, we could start seeing, recognize patterns in it and concepts in it. And we really started to see, that we could rebuild this religion. But the thing is, we want to talk about is that what we're doing is we're building arguments. And this is the difference between interpretation and argument. Now, an interpretation is just your view on things. That's just the way you see it, how you look at something. Like an example I would give is if somebody came and asked me, what does Yggdrasil represent? I'd say, well, it's the connection of all life. It's a symbol of the cosmos. It has an elemental feature to it. There's like the three creator elements of, like you see in the names Odin, Honor, and Loder, which represent, spirit, air, fire, and water. And you see those three elements played over and over, and they're the creator elements, and then the created element is the earth element, which is Yggdrasil. Now, that's my interpretation of it, and I can present a little bit of evidence to back that up, but it's still my interpretation. It's not an argument. It's not saying that. Now, if I were to explain to you, what the tree looks like and how the animals in it, and give the evidence for that, and show how Odin hanged in it from and Havamal and stuff like that, then that's building an argument, because I'm showing evidence, and I'm describing the tree as it's represented in the lore without any interpretation. Okay, that's an argument. It's not an interpretation. So a lot of people who are creating interpretations, who say, this is what we see, this is what we want, they know that they've been caught, that they've just been, making stuff up, and so start throwing the word interpretation around, and it sounds like we're all just making stuff up. All of us are, and it's really just whose opinion you want to follow. But that's not true. What we're doing is we're trying to build the strongest theological arguments to follow the ways of our ancestors and to give you the following of these ways, right? To give you the religion of your ancestors. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we've always been trying to do. And we're trying to do that authentically. And we're not trying to, pass off something that we just wrote that we really, really like and tell you that this is what you should do, because we've gone through stages of it. I think anybody who knows our work, knows that we put out the Synda book a few years back, and we just started making all these discoveries and just, coming up with this and figuring out that and looking at this and all these different things that we saw, and we had to scrap that book. This book is going to be completely replaced. Ivan Runer book 2 is going to be a complete replacement of the Synda book. This lore together, we put these rituals together in a way that is authentic, and it's not anything that we're just inventing, that we're just putting together. So that's what we're doing, and we're going to be continuing to build arguments. We're going to show people what we're doing with this ritual stuff, and we're going to be demonstrating the evidence behind it, which we did in Ivan Runer 1, right? And so that's what we're doing. We are trying to continue to build all the evidence around all of the lore and all the stuff that we're doing, so that we can, continue building our faith and so that's what we're all. Give me 1 second. So the idea is that, when you're looking at interpretations, you're looking at different people's opinions on the sources, then you can see that this is what we're trying to, make the Northern Society surrounded by, and that's what we're trying to develop. And so we're, looking at one of the things that we're doing is the building of the cosmology, right? So, sorry, I was being interrupted. The building of the cosmology is something that we have, people have asked us, why is your stuff so different? Why are your things different from what we normally see? Why is it that we have different, notions, different concepts and all that stuff? Well, the basis of that is that we have a hierarchy and a method behind our research. And so having a hierarchy and a method behind our research is something super important to us. It's not just something that we're just making up. It's not just something that we're just putting out, right? So we have that hierarchy, and that hierarchy is sacred to us because it represents what our religion is. Now, in saying that, what we see, people see us talking about things like the cosmology and Snorri Sturluson and the Poetic Edda and stuff, and they're like, why is their cosmology different? Why do they say that hell is earth? Why do they do all these different things, right? Well, it's because that hierarchy tells us that the Poetic Edda is the source on our religion. It's the most sacred source. It represents our entire faith, and it is what we have on our belief system. And Snorri Sturluson uses the Poetic Edda as the basis for what he wrote. And so Snorri Sturluson is never allowed to contradict the Poetic Edda, like ever, And so when he contradicts the Poetic Edda, and we see that clearly, then we have to question it. It's not that we're saying dismiss Snorri. Some people have accused us of that. Oh, it's just, just throw him out the water. That's not what we're saying, all right? There are plenty of times when Snorri is useful. Snorri gives us the adventures of Thor that we otherwise wouldn't have, and those adventures are backed up by things that are in the Poetic Edda, right? But there are times when Snorri gets it wrong. There are times when Snorri contradicts himself. There are times when Snorri is writing things that are from other writers, and it shows a difference in what he's doing. And there are many times when he contradicts the Poetic Edda. And the cosmology is in one of those. In Grimnis Mall 31, we see that the tree is described as having 3 roots that are under the tree, beneath the tree. Undan I ask Yggdrasil, which means under the ash Yggdrasil. They're beneath it. Okay, in Snorri's work, he describes one root in heaven, above or in the top of the tree, one in the middle of it, and one below. Okay, that's not beneath. right? That completely contradicts that concept there. And so when we see that and we say, okay, well, Grim Nismal is the source, Grim Nismal is the basis of it, and Snorri clearly misunderstood that, so we can't take that seriously. We can't say that's the cosmology. We have to say Grim Nismal cosmology is that. And we know that there's an underworld and there's Midgard and there's Asgard, and we have all these different things that we see represented in the lore as connected to this, and we can build an argument, an actual evidentiary argument behind this cosmology of an underworld, Midgard, and an Asgard, right? And then all the other realms that you see are just nations within those three worlds, right? Because it represents the limbs of the tree, the trunk of the tree, and the roots of the tree, right? And so that is our cosmology, and it's not us just creating an interpretation, it's us creating an argument around it and surrounding that argument with evidence and showing how it's connected to this and that and the other, all right? And so that is what we're doing. And so we're going to continue building this, and we're going to continue developing, you know, all of the research that we're doing, and we're going to give you this litmus that we've promised you, you know. And we're not asking you to follow us because I'm Mark Pereira, I'm this great guy, I have this great organization, I spoke to Odin in a dream or something. I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you that, you know, this research, this is the faith of your ancestors. This is the true religion of your ancestors. And, you know, there seems to be like this, a lot of people talk about Christian baggage and stuff like that. And one of the baggages that people have from Christianity, and more particularly Protestant Christianity, is the idea that you can just be a part of this religion because the gods came into your heart. That's Protestant Christianity. That's not real, right? This religion is ethnic. It comes to us by birth, right? And it's something that connects to us through our ancestors and through our heritage, right? And it relates to us through ceremony and ritual and sacrifice and building the traditional line that's through a chain of events, okay? So that's what I wanted to go over. That's what I wanted to talk to everybody about. We'll try to talk some more on this. Just know that the Ivan Runer is coming, and we're going to continue, you know, working on it. We're going to get it just perfect, but it's coming soon, probably within the next month or so. All right, so be looking out for that. All right, everybody have a great day. Oh, the ravens are there. All right, have a great day and hail the gods.